Be wound by them the same way again. The ego, your ego, activated by cocaine, gambling, and sugar. Your ego is not a moral failing. emptiness. The loudness is structural. It is load-bearing. What this means for you? Stop being intimidated by volume. Start being curious about it. The person threatening your confidence most loudly is almost certainly defending something they suspect they don't have. Drop this in the comments. I am not impressed by the noise. Ego injury is what happens when reality contradicts your story about yourself. You didn't get the promotion. You were publicly wrong. Someone didn't need you. And the pain you feel, that specific, disproportionate pain, is not about the event. It is about the story that event invalidates. This is why certain criticisms destroy you, while others slide off. They aren't attacking your actions. They are touching the exact point where your ego is softest. And the people who know you, truly know you, can find that point in the dark. The disproportionate reaction is the compass. When something stings more than it should, the ego is marking the map. Follow the sting. Find the story. Because every time you react with excess, someone else is making a note. Today's practice. When you react to something with more heat than the situation requires, write down what story the situation threatened. Not what happened, what it meant. You'll find your softest psychology in the answer. Drop this in the comments. I am the destination, not the pursuit. A predictable person is a manageable person, and the ego makes you perfectly predictable. Flatter this person and they'll say yes. Challenge their status and they become defensive. Ignore them and they'll do anything to get the room back. The pattern is mechanical. Anyone paying attention can operate it. Think about your own patterns right now. What situations reliably make you prove yourself? What kind of dismissal triggers your need to demonstrate your value? What does someone have to say to make you suddenly willing to do what you would otherwise never do? The pattern is the vulnerability. As long as you react the same way to the same input, you are not free. You are an instrument, someone else's instrument, played whenever the melody requires you. Breaking the pattern doesn't require therapy. It requires pause. When the stimulus fires, when someone does the thing that predictably moves you, insert a beat of nothing. That beat of nothing is freedom. It is the first moment you are responding rather than reacting. Drop this in the comments. I choose my reaction. I am not external confirmation to hold its shape. You know this person too, the rare version, the person who can be wrong without collapsing, who can be ignored without panicking, who can be praised without expanding. They move through the world at a different speed because they are not bouncing between stimulus and reaction. This is what you are building, not immunity to feeling, not coldness, rootedness, the ability to be in the storm and know where the floor is. The daily practice is simple and brutal. Every day this week, choose one situation where you would normally perform and don't. Don't explain yourself, don't defend yourself, don't compete. Simply act from what you know to be true. Notice who in your life becomes uncomfortable when you stop performing. That list is important. Drop this in the comments. I stop performing. I start owning. The sovereign self is not comfortable to be around for people who need you small. That discomfort they feel, that resistance, that sudden "you've changed" accusation that comes when you stop being manageable, that is the sound of their control leaving the room. Let it leave. That room was built on your performance. You were never meant to be a permanent resident in someone else's stage. Ownership of the self, not performance, not management, begins with a question you have to ask every single day. Is what I'm doing right now coming from what I believe or from what they need me to believe about me? That question, asked honestly, is the beginning of the end of ego's control over you, not the end of the ego, the end of its governance. This is what Nietzsche meant when he wrote about owning yourself. He did not mean narcissism. He did not mean domination. He meant the unglamorous, daily, private act of choosing your own truth over the comfort of the herd's validation. It is unglamorous. It will not be applauded. In fact, the first people to sense it will resist it. But on the other side of their resistance is a version of your life you have never been permitted to touch. There is no shortcut through the ego. There is only through. The discomfort of self-examination is not the opposite of strength. It is the definition of it. You have been in that discomfort your whole life. You have been in rooms that required you to be less. You have bent your truth to fit containers that were not built for it. The bend ends here. This knowledge is not a weapon you turn on others. You turn it on the patterns, on the automatic, unexamined machinery of your own ego. You rewire yourself. That is the only power worth having. Everything you've learned today is a door, and on the other side of it is a version of you that the people around you were hoping you'd never find. The old you, the one who needed the room's approval to feel real, who adjusted their truth to avoid conflict, who performed competence instead of living it, is dead. The old you is dead, and what you feel right now in place of grief should be relief.